Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. I'm Simura here, and in today's video we're gonna talk about Luke and why is this character getting so much hate from the community. Obviously Luke was the final character to be added to Street Fighter V, and he is one of the new characters in Street Fighter 6, and obviously seems like he is playing a major role in that game. Some people think he is the main protagonist, or it seems like he might be your mentor figure for like your playable character in the World Tour mode. Obviously we don't know the details yet, but Luke seems pretty important in Street Fighter 6, and this is a character that ever since he was introduced in Street Fighter 5, and a lot of people really dislike him. Some people dislike him because of his aesthetics, like the really huge forearms, others think he just looked too bland, and obviously others hate him because of his balancing, but we will get a little bit into the details here. Now, one thing that is very interesting about Luke is that he is being pushed like crazy by Capcom, and I feel like this is the first reason that a lot of people dislike him, right? Luke is getting pushed to be a main protagonist like type of character. When we saw the first teaser for Street Fighter 6, who was in that teaser? Well, it was Ryu and Luke. When we got to see the new they call it the announcement trailer, but it's a big reveal trailer for Street Fighter 6, the one that we finally got to see the gameplay, and we got to see a lot more of the game. Who was the first character that you saw in that trailer? Well, it was Luke, right? And obviously he is very featured in a lot of the other trailers, like you see him in the Guile trailer, you see him in the Kimberly trailer, so Luke is everywhere. And to kinda ease us into this main protagonist kind of role that Capcom is setting up for him, they did add him to Street Fighter V, and I do think this actually was a wise decision, right? Because they kind of warmed us into like getting accustomed to Luke, I should say, kind of softened the blow. Now, the main reasons that a lot of people disliked him, I will say at least Street Fighter V players, is that Luke was actually released in a very overtuned state. When Luke came out in Street Fighter V, he was incredibly powerful, and obviously to this day a lot of players do believe that Luke is the best character in the game. And this is obviously a very conscious design choice by Capcom. When Capcom put out a DLC character for Street Fighter V, for the longest part, they were never that strong. I think the only handful of characters that were released as DLC and were instantly like noticeably strong were Thess. To an extent, I want to say Akuma, but Akuma got a health buff before Akuma became relevant, but the other one that was like very powerful right out of the gate was Luke. Luke seems to do a lot of what the other characters do, but much better in almost every way. And like I said, Capcom wanted the character to be seen, they wanted him to be popular, they wanted him to be on streams, they wanted to get his names everywhere. And even when Capcom was doing a lot of the other promotional crossovers, like say in Brawlhalla, they put Luke there when they did the King of Fighters All-Stars, and they had like a couple of crossover characters. They also introduced Luke there. I believe they had like Chun-li, Ryu, and Luke. And there is actually a rumor that King of Fighters 15 in their second season they will get a Street Fighter team, and the rumor that I heard is that it's gonna be Luke, Chun-li, and Ryu. So there is potentially a Luke, like you will get Luke in King of Fighters as well. Obviously, I don't know if that's true, but that is what I have heard. So the character is very featured. Capcom really want us to get accustomed to him, and they want to push him as the poster boy. In many ways, there is a little bit of resentment to that, and I feel like that is always natural. In one of my previous videos, I was talking about how Luke kinda reminds me of like Roman Reigns in WWE, which was like this character that was really pushed super hard by the corporation, and people naturally just took issues with that and wanted other characters to be very popular organically. Now, with all of that being said, I do think Luke is actually a good character and he is sort of a good face for the franchise. Obviously, Luke is centered around mixed martial arts, which is a very big deal in today's day and age. MMA, UFC, all of that sort is very popular, so that will resonate with people, and he is carrying enough of the Shoto DNA, like the Sand Blaster, which is like the fireball, and the uppercut, so he have a little bit of that Shoto DNA that the casual gamers or the people that will just pick up the game will wanna play as, right? So they took a little bit out of Ryu and just still gave him like the MMA look and the MMA style to kinda make him have something for everyone, and I do really like his flash knuckle charge mechanic. So gameplay wise, I actually think Luke is a pretty fun character, and when you take a look at Street Fighter 6, obviously a lot of the character's power level seems to have risen up to match Luke, so he doesn't seem as oppressive in Street Fighter 6 as he was in 5, and obviously a lot of his moves, a lot of his specials, everything regarding the character seems like it was balanced with the Street Fighter 6 mechanics in mind, because he does seem like the character that is the most similar to his Street Fighter 5 self. One thing that I found to be very interesting as well, that he's the only character so far that have retained his theme music. Almost everyone from Street Fighter 5 to Street Fighter 6 got a new theme, while Luke only got a remix. So this is pretty much telling us that Luke was a guest character in Street Fighter 5. Now going into Street Fighter 6, seems like Capcom have redesigned Luke a little bit. I'm talking about visuals here, where they have given him more than his plain look, because this was something that a lot of people disliked, and for me personally I was always fine with it, because Street Fighter characters, at least the poster boys, most of them are plain. Like character like Ryu is very plain, and that's kind of the point, but anyways they did redesign him and he does look better now in Street Fighter 6, so a lot of people who had issues with his design are a little bit more at ease, but obviously there is still a lot of residual hate from the Street Fighter 5 days towards this character. I'm gonna speak from my personal experience and tell you that when we first got Luke in Street Fighter 5, I really didn't like him, and I always thought that he had a lot of the philosophies of the NRS character design, and I found that to be really weird. Obviously his Sand Blaster was a nightmare, his V-Trigger 1 was a nightmare to deal with, and the character obviously was very overtuned and very powerful, but I feel like over time, and having played him a lot myself, I found playing him to be a lot of fun, and playing against him became somewhat easier now that we know a lot more about him. Is very common, so I think all of us pretty much learned the matchup. He is still obviously one of the very best in the game, but I feel like it's more manageable now, and maybe there's a little bit of bias from me here, because Cody actually does pretty well against Luke, so maybe I'm a little bit fortunate in that regard, but yeah, I don't mind him now. And if I had to say so myself, honestly, giving the changes that Capcom did to his visuals in Street Fighter 6 and giving him overall more personality and making him a little bit less obnoxious and doesn't seem to be as overpowered as he was in Street Fighter 5, I am actually kinda liking what I'm seeing from Street Fighter 6's Luke, and giving him some abilities like the target combos being cancelable and all of that, and seems like he's getting air flash knuckle. That seems to be really cool, and overall I am looking forward to seeing more of him, and I don't mind him honestly as the main protagonist. Obviously Ryu is still there, and Capcom will never like leave Ryu behind, but I think it's actually good that Capcom is trying to move past the Street Fighter 2 characters, because they are the ones that are almost in every other promotional material. Capcom leans super hard on Street Fighter 2 when they are promoting anything Street Fighter in the mainstream, and I think it's time that they actually tried a new character, tried to push him while still maintaining Ryu's status. Let me know your thoughts. Do you dislike Luke still, or are you warming up to him a little bit? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.